think I always made the comment that once a miller, always a miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good heavens, he's done it again! Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us tonight as we look back on our Vertu Cup game that happened. That's as positive as I can be about the game itself. But it was a draw, but a win on penalties. So we'll talk about that. But then the league stuff, the real meaningful stuff, comes on Saturday as Charlton Athletic come to New York Stadium. Mick is back. How are we, Mick?
I'm all good, mate. Are you?
Very, very good. Thank you very much. And Tom's back. How are we doing, Tom?
Yeah, good. After that thrilling encounter.
Yeah. Trevor says, good evening, you Miller men and ladies. YouTube viewers are with us as well. Martin Holland says, good evening. Steve Grundy, Emma Wood, and Richard are all with us. Richard says, evening all, still unbeaten. Steve, Darren Cook, Steve Grundy, Steve Gauntlet are also with us, as is John Hensby. Things looking up at last. Paul Rhodes says, evening, good job we had Super Cam Dawson and goal. Cracking penalty save. Mick's mate Joe owes him a pint. Yeah, we'll come on to that. My favourite bit of the night, though, and if you weren't at the game, you might not have noticed this. Mickey Chip says, Sideshow Bob is a red. Now, if you weren't at the game, this will not make any sense to you. But there was a steward who looked a little bit like Sideshow Bob. Not really, but a little bit like Sideshow Bob. And he had a Rotherham shirt on. So he was a Rotherham fan, apparently. So they got serenaded for the entirety of the second half. And he absolutely loved it. On the way out, people were literally going up to him to shake his hand and take pictures with him. It was brilliant. He's probably now unemployed because he had a Rotherham shirt on while working a Chesterfield game. But you know what are you going to do?
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Get over it, Chesterfield. But Mick, we are through to the quarterfinals. Still regionalised, which we'll come into in a minute. But through to the quarterfinals of the Vertu Trophy, 2 games from Wembley. There's not much to talk about the actual game itself, though, is there? Because it was an absolute snooze fest.
Yeah, it was poor, weren't it? It was really poor. But we got through. That's the main thing. That is the main thing. There were a lot of changes, and it showed. We reverted back, didn't we? We reverted back to type, really. But look, it ultimately, particularly in this competition, the performances are not that important. It's the results that count, and we got through by the skin of our teeth. We got through, but it was just 2 poor sides, weren't it? Slugging it out on a Tuesday night in cold. I think that's about my summary of the game, really. 2 poor sides kicking lumps out of each other while it was cold in January, and there was a result at the end of it.
Yeah,
something happened.
I could be a football pundit, you know, mate. I'm thinking of applying for Match at Day.
Oh, yeah.
What do you reckon?
You don't like Premier League football, other than that, you nail them to get it.
I have to watch it, won't I?
Yeah.
No.
Chris Wright says, we are now showing a bit of bottle. Long may it continue. Steve says, think we showed why Evans doesn't use his subs bench or looked off the pace. Yeah, quite a lot of changes. I think we've changed all the front 5. Changed all the front 5 with midfield forward at Tom, and it showed. It absolutely showed that those players are not first team players, really.
Yeah, it was 6, wasn't it? Front 6.
Oh, because it's two attackers. Yeah, so 6. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Steve's spot on it. I mean, understandably, the whole dynamic goes out the window where you're high pressing with the 2 strikers. That goes out the window due to ability aside. Physically, you're never going to match that. But yeah, they look like they haven't played in months, and that was so evident in that first half because, as it seems from the Chesterfield comments, is that they were lacking a first team squad as well. So it was 2 probably second 11s going at each other, and ours came out second best. And to say that against a League 2 opposition is pretty bad when you know, we've gained some form, but I mean, it just goes to show that hopefully everyone stays fit. But if even one person in that 11 gets injured or takes a knock for a week, then you know, the people stepping into that are not up to it, and not like the standard that we need to be at. So it's really not the most encouraging performance I've ever seen. I'll say that, but you know.
No, I agree. So we had a front change. Bramwell came in left-hand side, Green kind of in the centre, Holmes on the right-hand side, Johnson, Clark, Harris, and Jordan Hugill as the other striker.
It makes me laugh. I'm sorry, it makes me laugh. You're saying that Bramwell and Holmes were out on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. Nobody were out on left and right-hand side. Nobody at all.
No.
You mean both of them were slightly left and right of centre?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But let's just tick off the strikers, Mick, because this is the problem area really. We've seen Nombe and Wilkes play. Wilkes isn't a striker, but he's doing a pretty good job up front. And Nombe is a striker and he's doing pretty well. Johnson, Clark, Harris, and Jordan Hugill. There's some serious questions about, number one, why we signed Clark Harris, and number two, what the situation is with Jordan Hugill, because they were so poor, and everything that they did, they were just poor. They couldn't get them to end of crosses. Clark Harris doesn't. At times, Clark Harris looks like he's never seen football before. It's mad, but then sometimes it looks all right. But Tuesday night was one of the nights where at times it looked like he'd never seen a football before, and Jordan Hugill at the minute, unfortunately. It's such a concern how weak we are in that area, in terms of depth, I mean.
Let me play devil's advocate for a minute.
Go on.
And say, no, I don't agree with you.
Okay.
And the reason I don't agree with you is that when we did put balls into the box, pretty much all 4 or 5 times we did it in the game, they were on the end of it. Admittedly, they didn't bang them, they didn't put them away. But we didn't put balls in the box. We did. You're going to play Johnson, Clark, Harris, and Jordan Hugill up front, 2 big strikers, both of whom are proven finishers. Right? Give them the ball in the box, because that's what they do. But we can't play like that. For whatever reason, we're not playing that way. We play, and I don't think this is Evans. I think this is down to Rayner. Some sort of weird obsession with playing through the middle of the park to 2 big men up front, when it's quite clear that every single time you get the ball out wide and put it in the box, we create problems without fail. You know, we're not necessarily scoring. No team scores from every ball that they're putting in the box. But if you've got Jordan Hugill and you've got Johnson, Clark, Harris, you need the ball out wide, you need the ball going into the box. That is where those 2 players are dangerous. And what we're asking them to do is we're asking them to press the ball, we're asking them to come short and hold the ball up, and we're not putting it in the box. Put it in the box for them. They will score goals. They've proved it throughout their careers. They will score goals. But there's some weird obsession, and this and Tuesday night highlighted it, because we've reverted, because of the changes that were made. We reverted back to type to what we had for the first third of the season, which would just dross, trying to fight through the middle like an under-12s game, instead of spreading the ball out wide and getting it into the box, getting some decent crosses in. And each time, I think maybe 4 or 5 times in the whole 90 minutes on Tuesday night we did it, we created loads of problems. Hugill should have scored, Clark Harris should have scored. They didn't, but put more in there, they will score the goals. So for me, I agree with what you're saying up to a degree, but you've got to give them the ball where they are dangerous, and you've got to play them in the positions that they are supposed to be played in, and that's not what we're doing. So I accept Hugill is probably not. He's not interested. He seems to be just marking time, really. But maybe some of that is because he's been asked to do something that he's not capable or not good enough to do. He should be in the box, receiving crosses, putting the ball in the back of the net. That is his job. Likewise with Clark Harris, but we're not allowing them to do that because we're not giving them the service. So,
but that's not enough, is it? Certainly in modern day football, at this level of football, that's not enough.
Well,
you need to do more, which is what Nombe and Wilkes do. They do much more than that.
But they're not.
They get down in the box as well, but they do much more than that.
I'm kind of playing devil's advocate up to a degree, but I'm doing it just because I want to point out the fact that either Rayner and/or Evans have got some weird obsession with playing with no width, and I just find it bizarre because the second that we do, we cause problems, and it's so obvious to me anyway. So, and if you've got two players like that, they will score you goals if you keep putting ball in the box. They will score.
But they need to help us get further up the pitch. The ball needs to be held up a little bit for the rest of the team to get the pitch to get in the wide areas. Bramwell did get in wide areas at times, but
it depends what formation you're playing, doesn't it?
Well, formation's working though, isn't it?
It is. It is when you're playing different players up front. You know, I'm talking specifically about those two. Those two are going to score you goals from inside the box. If you're going to play them, play to their strengths. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It just seems common sense to me, really. But I don't know. Maybe
I don't think it's too big of an ask to do a striker to do two different things in one game.
No,
it's what I thought the comeback would be. I don't think that's. You know, they should be able to do at least a little bit of hold-up play, Tom, and that's the problem with them. That Hugel is good in the box, but Hugel's hold-up play is what's made him his career in the Championship. His link-up play in the first 6 months, his link-up play and hold-up play was very, very good. That's what kind of player he is. Clark Harris is different, but they've got to better. They've got to allow Bramwell to come into the game. Somebody's got to help Jack Holmes out, poor lad, because he has zero help on the right hand side, and that's got to come from the striker. They'll be holding up a little bit there, taking up areas, taking up defenders and stuff like that, and they just didn't. And it was certainly first half was just dreadful.
Yeah, I mean, on paper it should have worked better than it did, and that's not. Obviously we had to change the game plan a lot, but you've got to. You've got a very speedy winger on the left and a not so slow chap on the right. And, putting it into areas for Clark Harris and Hugel to hold up and release them and then get in the box themselves, that should have been a straightforward, route one, hoofball exercise, whatever. But they do just really struggle with keeping the ball, holding it. Maybe there's a lack of enthusiasm there, but I think it's a lack of match fitness and sharpness, and also a lack of sort of desire. And as people in the comments have alluded to, and you did earlier, Mick, is that it's a case of this is what that game on Tuesday didn't surprise me, because it's just what we've been watching all season, bar the last 4 or 5 games. So it's really not surprising, and I think it's really quite obvious that. And a full respect now to Steve Evans is that although some aspects of it were his fault pre this run of form, a lot of it does go down to the players, because some of them just aren't good enough. Some of them surprised me. I thought Bramwell had a decent game, and people alluded to afterwards, but again, to me, nowhere good enough to be anywhere near that starting 11. I still think Powell's better. So, he's a decent squad player, but nobody on that pitch who hasn't started the last couple of games and started on Tuesday really did anything for me to even justify a League One, to be in a League One team, let alone a team that goes for the playoffs and all this, but fans that want promotion. So it's tough to see where you go from here, and like you keep saying it regards to the point of why did you sign Clark Harris, why did you sign X, Y, and Z? Kelly looks really off it, I think. When you compare him to Teehee and Humphreys, I know a lot of people didn't like Teehee. He was a bit of an enigma, I guess, but he was a lot better than Kelly's performing these last couple games. It's very, very worrying that if, as I said before, if it was to be a case of anyone got injured, then, I think we're screwed, really.
Yeah, depth is a massive issue. Thankfully, we'll talk about transfers later, but thankfully we've got no injuries really at the minute, touching wood. So there's not what we need. We need some squad depth. Tom mentioned Kelly there, Mick, and he's one of the big disappointments for me so far this season. I'm going to ignore the fact he's been injured for most of it. When he has played, he's just been well off it. But the Barnsley game sticks out in my mind as just been a really, really poor performance. He's getting significantly outperformed by a centre-half playing in his position. He's a weird one, Kelly, because when you watch him, when I watch Cam Humphries and Chris Teehee, they're always moving, they're always looking, they're in the gap between the striker and midfield or whatever the case may be. They're always in that gap. If you watch Kelly, and you've put this up a lot of it, he stands behind the opposition player.
Yeah.
So he's literally impossible to get the ball to. So the defenders have no outlet. So then they have to go long because there's no outlet. And I don't understand a guy of his experience. It's not what he's been asked to do and what Cam Humphries is doing. That side of the games is pretty easy. Just step out of the way, give yourself an option. And even when he gave the ball straight back, his passes back were terrible as well. I'm really concerned with how Kelly's playing. I just don't get it at the minute.
Strikes me as somebody who's massively lacking in confidence, to be honest with you. He's not keen to get the ball. He's not constantly looking for the ball like T and Humphries do. He's kind of open, and then when he does get the ball, he's trying to get rid of it as quickly as possible. And his passes, as you say, are generally backwards. He's generally facing his own goal. He's not turning and looking to spray the ball wide. Well, he can't spray the ball wide because there's nobody there. So all he can do realistically is go backwards because that midfield is, it's just so congested. But I think he is lacking in confidence, massively lacking in confidence. That's all I can suggest because he's a quality player. There's no doubt about it. You don't lose that sort of ability overnight. You don't just change teams and all of a sudden you're crap, much as some supporters would suggest that that's the case. It's clearly not. He's an experienced footballer and played at a high level, but he's just not cutting it at the moment. So it has to be confidence. It has to be. Or a lack of desire to be here, which that's the other negative side of it. I'm not convinced that's true. For me, strikes me as being too much of a professional for that. So, it just screams a player lacking confidence for me. And every game that goes by that he plays and plays badly just knocks that confidence again, doesn't it? It changed the game completely when Humphries came on. That position changed immediately, and we looked a lot brighter and a lot better.
Yeah, it did. And that's quite a big concern. Because Cam Humphries is not going to be next season, probably. It could be gone soon if somebody fancies chucking a few quid our way. And then what do we do? Because Cam Humphries and Chris Teehee aren't cheap, are they? Look how much we paid for Chris Teehee last year. They're not cheap players to get.
No.
So we'll have to wait and see. It's a concern, Tony. You kind of alluded to earlier, but the disappointment is that these competitions are great. We could get to Wembley. But for a player, more importantly, these are opportunities to stake your claim for a start position. And Kelly's one of those. Andre Green's one of those where this should have been a game where they step up, take the game by the scruff of the neck against a poor Chesterfield team, who I think missing some first team players, as we've mentioned. This was their opportunity, and they will be on the bench Saturday. No, they should be on the bench on Saturday. All of them, well, except defenders.
Yeah, bar any injury, I can't see any of them starting anyway, because they don't offer anything else. Don't get me wrong, the first 11 that we have at the minute isn't perfect. There's obviously some, players that you could, be bettered, and obviously we're not the finished article. But for me, none of those who came in, the 8 changes, 7 changes, whatever it was, none of them are anywhere near the ability that we need at the minute and play to the sort of style that we need. It's surprising because you think about the Clark Harris, Hugo Kelly pre-season, and you thought that as a spine is one of the best League One spines, arguably on paper, that you're going to get, and then you put it into practice and it's lethargic and it's just way off the pace. And don't get me wrong, they're still probably good footballers, and I still think Clark Harris is probably the best finisher at the club, and I still think Hugo's got some aspects of his game that are good. And Kelly's obviously been there, done that season pro, but none of them look match fit, look confident. Yeah, it's really worrying because, as I keep saying, depth is a huge issue. You can't. We've let go of 5 players with nothing in return, so it's really tough to sort of be optimistic. I'm enjoying our football at the minute, and that's great. But it's really it's hard to stay optimistic with one potential injury. I mean, Evans talked about Jules feeling his hamstring at half time in the Bolton game, and if he goes out for a game or two, then we've got nobody. You bring Cam Humphreys back into there, and then suddenly you're starting Kelly, who's way off it. So we are one injury away from a potential disaster, but being optimistic, hopefully we're not.
Yeah. What we got through, Mick, penalty shootout. It took the penalty shootout. Not the greatest quality. Cam Dawson could have saved the first 2, did save the third one. And then Joe Powell decided to aim for an empty stand. If you give me those 5 penalty takers, Joe Powell's the one. I go, yeah, no, I'm not worried about Joe Powell missing. It was such a bad penalty.
Yeah, well, I thought for him really. I mean, he's clearly gone for, I assume, for one at top corners and ended up with top corner at stand. So, there's not much to be said about it. Mistake. These things happen in penalty shootouts, don't they? I thought Dawson were unlucky that he got a hand to a couple of the first 2. I think he got a hand to, and unlucky not to save them. But yeah, we got through on that, and I thought Humphreys' penalty were going to be saved. He just had enough power to get it underneath the keeper, who went right way for once. So yeah. Look, it's a win. We're through. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I've heard a few people say that they thought it was a decent game, and I don't know. I don't. Maybe I know that I'm very negative. I understand that I am, and I still am, and because of the reasons I've outlined earlier on. But I didn't think it was a particularly great game at all. I just wanted it to be over, quite honestly. About halfway through the first half. The thing, so we're just going back to people like Kelly and what have you, and Holmes, and it's almost as if the way that they're playing it, that they don't train. That's how it feels, because they don't seem to know what their job is, or they don't seem to be sure what their job is. They're not fit. They're not in sync with the teammates. There's just no. They don't gel at all. It just feels like, I don't know what they do in training. I don't know whether they actually do any, quite frankly. And I say that not even slightly tongue in cheek, because the way that we played, but certainly the first part of the season, suggests to me that we hardly train at all. And then when you make those changes, that again seems to be accentuated. It seems to be highlighted. The lack of understanding, the lack of understanding of what's expected of them, the lack of fitness. All those things scream to me that they're either not training or not training properly. I can't think of another reason, because with the exception of Holmes, there's some proper experience in that squad. Some a lot of years worth of experience. And I don't get it. I don't understand. I genuinely don't. And if you've got a player like Kelly with the experience he's got, and he's out of confidence, he's out of nick a little bit, then the more he trains, the more that confidence is going to return. And it's not even that. It's not even close. It's not even close. I don't know. It just that's how it looks and feels to me. That again, I suppose I'm being passively aggressively attacking the manager and his team, but that's, I can only say what I see, and I'm not impressed in terms of fitness levels and understanding and team gelling together. It's a bit weird, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it was nice of their player to do an equally bad penalty after Joe Powell's, though, weren't it? It was nice to match it up.
Yeah.
He
could have closed to net, to be fair to him.
Yeah, to only just though. So we are through to the quarterfinals, still regionalised at the quarterfinal stage, which makes it strange that the semi-final's not regionalised. Why not just keep it regionalised to the final? Like they used to. Like they used to have an area semi-final, area final. If you're going to regionalise it to this stage, just keep it regionalised. But whatever, EFL know better apparently. So the potential opponents, the draw is on lunchtime. I think it's around 11 o'clock. I think they've said just after 11 o'clock. This on Sky Sports Football. We could get Bolton, Bradford, or Port Vale or Wickham, Port Vale or Wrexham, who haven't played each other yet because their game was postponed last week. Do you care, Tom? Just anybody at home? Do you care? Where are you at?
You always ask me this, and I always say like I don't, and I do, and I don't. I just think it'd be good to get, arguably the worst of the four, which would be Bradford. I think
we've already beat.
Who we've already beat, and Bolton, who we've already beat. Anyway, arguably you'd want the lowest ranked team, which would be Bradford, and I don't think that's a necessary win, but you always want a I wouldn't want to play Wrexham, for example, because I think they'd argue more of they'd give you more of a challenge, more of a game. But I think it doesn't really matter because you just have to beat whoever is in front of you. And I think for me, I'm not. If the game, whoever we play in the next round is going to be the same performance as this last round, then I'm not really bothered about watching it because we may win, great, semi-final, everyone's buzzing, and I will watch it, but it wasn't a fun watch. It wasn't like the last couple, team performances that we've had where I've genuinely enjoyed watching us again for the first time in 2 years. It was back to the drudge of I turned away, made tea for a bit, came back, still nothing had happened. I went on my phone for a bit, this, that, and the other, and I didn't really care for it. So yeah, for this cup, I'm not too fussed. But if we make it to the final, that's a completely different story because then you play with a bit more pride, you play with a bit more, you play with arguably your first team and this, that, and the other. And it's a day out. It's a good day out. But yeah,
fair enough. Scott Kent says they want a Birmingham Wrexham final. EFL would absolutely love a Birmingham Wrexham.
Oh, they'd be able to. My word.
It wouldn't be at Wembley though. It'd be in the States, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they could go play it in New York or something, couldn't they?
Yeah. Nobody would care.
I nearly swore loads of times then. I mean, they just it'd be beautiful, wouldn't it?
The good thing about the EFL Trophy is, unless you're in the final, you don't watch it. It's not like FA Cup final where you always watch it. So if it is Birmingham Wrexham, that's fine because if it were Bradford Port Vale, I'm still not going to watch it. So But yeah, Chris Jenks in the comments put two in the point. He says, "Players off the park Saturday, Ian Everett in. You have our deepest sympathies that you still have Ian Everett as your manager, Chris. Good luck is all I'm going to say."
Chris, we feel for you, mate. We genuinely, and that is not a joke. 100% feel for Bolton because he's a joke, isn't he? That lad. Yeah. But as is ours, so I'm not that much.
Anyway,
coming from a position of strength here, mate, we both got managers to both jokes.
For me, this is when you start taking this competitions a bit more seriously. Whoever you get in quarterfinals, you go reasonably strong, as strong as can be without slightly injuring anybody. You're 2 games from Wembley. The money increases, the financial rewards increase at this stage of the competition as well. This is it. It's not it, but it's more serious from now for me. You don't agree, do you?
You talk to me?
No, Mick. Yeah.
No, I don't agree. No, I'm not. I'm like Tom, and this is really childish and pathetic. If we get to the final, I'm all for that because it's great. It's a fantastic day out. But the rest of it is they're just mid-season friendlies, aren't they? Realistically, and that's how the vast majority of clubs treat them. And I think you can dress this competition up any way you want, and Lord knows that they tried, bringing in these under 21s or under 23 sides or whatever it is they're bringing in. and it ain't going to work. So, well, I don't think it is anyway. There's enough football about without having to have another pointless trophy, but it's not pointless if you get the final. It's a great day out. It's a great day out, but the rest of it is just there. Not interested.
You're like a Man City fan with Carabao Cup, that you don't care about it unless you get to final and win it, then you'll be a bit interested.
Slightly different, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, slightly, yeah.
For a City fan, it's not.
Well, for a start, they normally have something to play for during the season. We don't.
Only 10 points of playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. There's the Vertu Trophy roundup. The ties are scheduled to be played, I think, around the 9th of February, something like that. But the problem is, if you draw Wrexham, that's when their last 16 ties. So then if you draw Wrexham, it'll be mid to late February, this round and the semi-final. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge on Saturday if we get Wrexham or not. I'm sure we won't care. But transfer window is wide open, Tom.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently we don't know.
Evans said post-match there's a 50-50 chance, 60-40 chance in our favour that there will be an arrival before Saturday, Thursday evening. And
What? Sorry?
what?
I mean, I accept, right, that I'm quite old now, and it's a long, long time since I did maths at school. So there's a 50-50 chance that we might get somebody that's 60-40 in our favour.
I think it means that's what it said. 50-50 slash 60-40 chance in our favour. We'll get
right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me. I thought, hang on a minute.
Yeah, you were thinking that. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
You were thinking 50-50 chance of getting the player that was 60-40 in our favour over another club.
Right. Okay.
All kind of possibility trees going on there.
So we're not getting James Collins. Nick's put anyway, we don't want Collins. The Hugo Clark carries is 34. If true, not true. Apparently, Steve Evans has squashed that one. Although I don't think it would have been a bad signing, but that's irrelevant now. The kid at Stoke has been linked with us low. He's one to watch. If he doesn't play for Stoke at the weekend, I think he's likely to go back on loan. I'm not saying we're going to get him, but I think he'll go back out on loan somewhere. So watch out for if Lowe plays for Stoke on Saturday, because that might be a goer next week. But it's good, Tom, that is the area pitch we're desperate for. As Tuesday highlighted, we're desperate for at least a striker, maybe another one as well, if you can get one in reasonably. So it's good that Evans sees what we're seeing. That's a key area. Yeah,
definitely. And if it's this low, then then he looks like a right prospect, good goal scorer, physical attributes to boot. It would be a fantastic signing and a signing of intent as well. Because I'm sure he's not. We are probably one of the other 20 clubs, 24 clubs in League One that would be after him. Maybe not Birmingham with their £25 million strike force, but I mean, obviously he would be great. But I think we need a lot of players, and I said it since the start of the window. I think what we'll try and do is probably sign 5 loan players, whether it's kids or Hungbo equivalents, Wilkes equivalents, who were been there and around, but not quite finding first team football, or and probably about another 3 in, permanently, and that's I want to say that's realistic. I don't think it's too optimistic. I think it's more realistic than optimistic, just because of our squad depth being so low. I mean, you think about that team that started on Tuesday, and I couldn't think of another player that goes into that defence other than Raggett, who's been out for 6 months to 3 years, it feels like. So it's really tough to sort of think that this would be a good transfer window without having a net positive on players in the club. At least a net nil, I think. So whether or not it'll happen is beyond our control to a point, I think, as a club. But I think we should try and make it happen. I don't think it's hard to go out and sign 5 young lads on loan. Whether or not they'll be good enough is a different matter. But or else we're going to have to start, bringing in some junior players to play in the senior squad, like Duncan, who I was upset not to see on the bench, at least. Just saying.
Yeah, me too. Adam Harkinsell, Shea Charles is available at Southampton. I've heard that as well. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Did he go back?
He's going well. Did you not watch what last night? Sheffield Wednesday's fans forum.
No.
Oh mate, go back.
Did I watch it? How could I have watched it?
Well, what I've watched on Twitter, watch the fallout and what Chancery has been saying.
Oh.
If we just, but go back. I'm not going to go up the bullet for everybody because it's just the best thing. And one of the things he did say is that unless Southampton recall him before midnight, then Charles will be staying us for the rest of the window. And at 12 o'clock, Chancery left the room and came back and said, "Oh, Southampton have recalled him." And now he's going to Sheffield United apparently as well to make it even better. Just the best. But yeah, if you want to cheer yourself up later, go read through. Find one of the Sheffield Wednesday journalists, whatever, looks through some of Chancery's quotes from last night because they're just the best. He's just a millionaire child, and it's just brilliant.
He's a millionaire child.
Anyway, I think about this transfer window so far, Mick, and it's giving me flashbacks to last January, where we're saying that it don't matter as long as we get players in by the end of the window. It don't matter. Oh, we've lost a few players, but it's all right because as long as we get the guys in by the end of the window, it don't really matter. And then it got to 11 o'clock on the 31st of January last year, and we signed one good player in a motor and two duds. I don't think the same will happen, but the longer the window goes on, you're kind of thinking, well, August was terrible. We signed Wilkes in January. That were it. I just got a feeling it's going to be a terrible window. I hope I'm wrong, but I just got that feeling at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why you have, given the poor recruitment we made in the summer. But I mean, Stoke always anyway, don't they? We've loaned them Victor for next to nothing. So you know, they can loan somebody back in opposite direction while ever he's there for us. I don't know. It's ain't looking great, but sit back and watch. That's all we can do, isn't it? You know. But I'm surprised there's not been any more rumours. There's usually rumours coming from all over the place, isn't there? Maybe we're now down bottom of that list, if you like. We're not sort of in the news at all. Evans hasn't created any sort of headlines recently, so we kind of slipped down the pecking order a little bit for the rumour mill, perhaps. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. That's all we can do with transfer windows, isn't it? You know, we can say we like who we need, what players we need, and we'll end up with two loan players from that don't even fit the way that we play. My concern with the people, we like the lad that Lowe from Stoke is that whilst he's probably a lot better, he's in the Asong category of a youngish player. It's not the type of player that Evans is going to play because he didn't play him. You know, a creative player like Hungbo, for example, never give him a minute. Well, he did give him a minute, but you know, he never gave him a fair crack of the whip. And likewise with Asong, neither of them got a fair crack of the whip at all. And I think probably both would have had something to offer, certainly over and above the likes of Hugo and Clark Harris, with what they've already offered so far this season. So I don't know. None of it fills me with a great deal of enthusiasm or excitement, to be fair. You know, because it's either going to be a journeyman 34-year-old striker like Collins or somebody of that nature, which is basically just another Clark Harris or Hugel, as has been mentioned, or we might end up at the end of the window with a couple of 19, 20, 21-year-olds who've got a lot of potential but never see a Rotherham United shirt or a first team shirt. That's how it feels, but whether that's right or not, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Sorry, I'm negative again, aren't I? But it just, you are negative, I am, but I can't, you know, there's nothing at all that sort of piqued anybody's interest. Realistic names, you know, that are going to improve us.
No. Yeah. If I could just, I completely agree with you, Mick, because I think it's really strange looking at it now, isn't it? Because the song, and you know, for all his injury woes, would have fit this system perfectly. You know, he was a sort of really raw, really unproven, but a real good similar mix between Clark Harris and Nombe. He seemed to have a bit more energy and sort of similar to Nombe, a little bit more energy and pace and strength and power, but also had that sort of finishing. It looked like that finishing ability and sort of technical side that perhaps Nombe doesn't have. So I thought he would have been perfect. And then Hungbo on the right side instead of McDonald, I think, would have been a good like for like as well. So it's weird, isn't it? Because had they stayed in the club for another 2 weeks, they might both be starting on Saturday. But instead, we sent them both back, and we look a lot more depleted for the sake of it. And Steve just said in the comments as well about McGuckin. I thought he would have probably done a better job than Hugel and Clark Harris, in the role that we would have given him. I still think it's good he's gone out on loan. I think it's it's not the wrong decision, but it's really tough seeing such. Like for me in my lifetime, seeing good young players at the club in sort of maybe goods and overstep, but sort of decent under 21, 22-year-olds, but that aren't really getting a chance because you want to go for the seasoned old pros instead. But I guess we'll see. But I agree with you, Mick. I think any young player that comes isn't guaranteed a place, and I don't think any EFL club wants that, especially with this low. If he comes and then spends half the season on the bench because the team's playing too well, or that he has to earn his chance, or he has to train well, or whatever, then no, Stoke aren't going to give him that.
No. Is a good club going to lend their star potential player to Ray Steve? That's always the question. When a couple of years ago we were one of the clubs in League One to send young players to. Phil said it's strange at the start of the season most fans were pleased that we signed players early. Now it's suddenly a poor decision.
I don't think anybody's saying it was a poor decision.
Some of them were, but the problem with the summer window was we didn't sign anybody in August except Wilkes, and we were told we were going to replace Rathbone. We were told we were going to fine tune, and we didn't do that in August. That's the problem, and we did. Anyway.
I don't think the timing of the summer moves necessarily was the issue. It's the quality that we've ended up with, and it takes you. Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. You can. Given the fact that we've just played half a season, 23 games, and been utterly dreadful for the vast majority of them, then clearly some of those signings were poor, or other reasons why we've been poor, and it's turning out to be other reasons, isn't it? Looking at the way that we've changed the formation, changed the personnel slightly, and all of a sudden we're playing all right. So, who knows?
To ask how often does a January loan player make an impact? That's a big question. You've got to find a player who can fit into what you're trying to do as well. It did happen under Evans a couple of times, not loads. But this again, another reason why it feels like similar to last January. I remember last January saying there's no rumours, but maybe that's a good thing because we're keeping everything under wraps. And then there was just no rumours.
I like that. Let's try that one again.
Yeah.
My sources at the club tell me that there's quite a lot bubbling under, and these are genuine rumours rather than the one that got away. So I ain't got any sources at the club, by the way. And
close enough to just not go on the line.
I just made that up.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not a journal, would I?
No, you wouldn't know. There are 17 days left of the window. It closes on the 3rd of February for some reason. Even though the 31st is a Friday, they've decided to close it on the 3rd of February. So there's time. There's still plenty of time.
Is that a Monday then?
It's a Monday, yeah. Yes. Yeah, we'll be there. So there'll be no Sunday episode that week. So there'll be no Sunday episode on the 2nd of February. So the Birmingham game will be previewed Monday night, and then we'll go through to the window on that episode. So that's what 2 weeks away that is. Tom, did you have a yellow tie, Tom, or did you not have one?
Yeah, I had one. I can't remember where it is though.
It's Danny that has been doing a podcast for 5 years and still hasn't got a yellow tie for deadline day, even though we do one every time.
I think I put it away for safekeeping.
So yeah,
I knew a day like this would come again.
Look, we'll keep an eye on it. We've heard nothing to suggest there'll be a signing before the game on Saturday. So let's wait and see. The good thing is, and as I mentioned earlier, we're in a really, really good position injury-wise, a great position injury-wise. So we're not desperate for people at the minute. Touch wood. Right. Saturday, Mick. Charlton Athletic are coming to New York Stadium. Nathan Jones against Steve Evans, so it should be touchline should be fun. How are you feeling about it? They're on a mini 6-game unbeaten run. We're in, I think, 5 if you include the cup game as well. 2 teams in good form, so it could be potential to be a good game. This
it's got potential to be a good game, hasn't it? Hopefully, it will be. It depends, obviously, what changes he decides to make, and whether he continues with the same first team that's been playing in league action for the last 3 or 4 games, or whether we do make any alterations. I would hope that we revert back to what we've done the last few games, and we'll give them a decent game. You know, they're not running away with anything, so they're unlikely to be much better than anything else we've played this season. And they did pull any trees up when we played them at their place either, did they? Let's be fair. But for a wonder goal, I think we'd have probably gotten away win there. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be a decent game. And I don't want to say this, but I'm starting to just about think, well, oh, good, it's football Saturday now, rather than no, can I have a look at football on Saturday? I know it's slightly different, but there's not much difference. But I'm getting there, so yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching something earlier, Tom, and the moral of the story is don't let Charlton score first, because when Charlton score first, they've won all 9 games so far. They've got the first goal. So whenever we score, we always pick up at least a point. First goals are always important, but this is going to be. If you look at we've scored the 5th lowest in the division, and conceded the 6th least. They've conceded the 4th least in the division, so it could be quite an interesting and good game. But there's unlikely to be goals in this one. It's going to be it should be quite a tight game.
Yeah. From what I remember of Charlton, they're very resilient defensively, but lack a little bit going forward. But I mean, if you look at some of their recent results, I don't think they've struggled for goals. Barring 0-0 against Reading in their last game, 2-1 against Wickham and 2-1 against Cambridge. They're not standout results. They're not like blow your head off, kind of quaking in your pants kind of results. But they are they're a team that, although it's a couple places above us, I think are starting to find a similar form to what we are in this moment in time. And I don't think it's going to be an easy game. But like you say, they don't score much, we don't score much. So I think if we do get a goal, if they get a goal, I think that's maybe curtains. So yeah, it's extremely important to sort of start off how we have been starting off. But yeah, I don't have any real worries. I'm looking forward to this game less than I am the Bolton game, because I think this will be a bit more of a test. I think this is a similar test to Huddersfield in that they are of a certain quality that if we play how we have been playing, I don't think it's a guaranteed win. Whereas with some other teams, you sort of almost think it's a guaranteed win. So I'm looking forward to how it plays out. And like Mick said, whatever changes are made, I don't think there will be any changes, and see if we get anyone in, we've still got a day. Oh wait, can they play if they sign tomorrow?
I think you've got to sign before 12, but there's different rules for loans and permanent, so potentially is the answer.
Yeah. Well, either way, I think this will be a proper test. And not to say that Charlton are, going to, win the playoffs, go up, whatever, but I think there'll be a big test to see how we play against them, going forward, against a resilient team.
Yeah, I agree. Our record in general against them is terrible. The last time we beat Charlton was 1983.
Well, there's still a chance then.
Still a chance. We did do the double over them that year in the 82-83 season. But yeah, a long old while since we beat them. I didn't mention it a minute ago, but the key to this game is really making sure we go back to what we've been doing. Go back to the starting 11. Again, fitness remain. I don't care if Sean Raggett's fit. Do not play Sean Raggett. You've got to stick with the same 11. Tell them to do what they've been doing. And most teams in this division would struggle at our place when we play like that. But you're talking only Birmingham and maybe Wrexham and Huddersfield that might put up a good fight against that. That's how good we were against Bolton for me. Play like that again, we'll probably win. But you've got to play to that level.
Yeah, of course you have, absolutely. To change that back four would be mental. That'd be ridiculous. So let's not put one. I wouldn't put it past them. I genuinely wouldn't put it past them. But you know, because Raggett, if Raggett is fit, I mean, was he on the bench on Tuesday night? I don't think he were he? So I can't see him being that fit or fit enough to start on Saturday anyway. And I wouldn't start him anyway, given the way that these two are playing. They've been absolutely outstanding in the last few games. They've been fantastic. So yeah, there'll be no changes for me. Depends on Wilkes whether or not he is fit, whether he rested the other night or what, I don't know. I'd still argue, despite the fact I don't think Green had a particularly good game the other night, I'd still have him in place of McDonald, frankly. But and that's nothing against Alex McDonald and the way he's played. He's done really, really well. But Green's a far more attacking, dangerous player on his day. And it depends whether he's fit enough. Because I say he wasn't great the other night, but again, being forced to play in a position that he's not. Yeah, it's not his place. He don't play as a number 10. That's not what he is. He's more of a wide player. So, but then we don't play with that. So, and just get that ball out wide for me. Get it out wide. Please create some width. And if we do, we will score goals and we will give any team in this division a run for the money, because that's where all our danger comes from. So we'll see. But I am quite looking forward to this one. Should be all right.
Yeah. Nick says we set the standards against Bolton. We need to have the same fight, passion, and desire. Also says if we can pick up 3 points, then we have a real chance of picking up points in the games after Charlton. Yeah, we got Burton away and Cambridge at home in the next 2 games after this. There's a real potential of a mini run there. There's a huge chance to fire your way up the table, but you've got to win these games. You know, your home games against mid-table teams. If Evans wants to do what he says he wants to do, they're picking up wins against these teams. If we want to be in that position, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But we'll see, won't we? Phil said we want to shout Bramwell. Yeah, we should have shouted out Conor Bramwell a little bit more for the game. We didn't. He was pretty good. Mr. John Paranormal says Mick ref rant for Tuesday. Do you have a rant on the referee? We can have a shout at Lino if you want, because Lino was dreadful.
Oh, how bad was he? Yeah, the ref. Maybe I fell asleep for some of this game because a few people have said, like, and Mike, I think in the comments said earlier on, it weren't that bad a game. Maybe I had a snooze. I don't know. I don't remember the referee being particularly bad. The lino on our side was just so far behind play. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I shouted at one point, he was offside him, lino. He weren't, and he put his flag up. It was miles behind, weren't it?
Yeah,
but yeah, no, not for me. I don't remember anything particularly bad. I might be wrong. Oh,
penalty.
It was arguably a penalty. I thought it was a penalty. It was the head injury to
Jules,
which was that was poor. That was really, really poor. Because the line-up could see. Yeah, the line-up, it was right, man. The line-up couldn't see because he weren't up with play, would he? So, but it was right in front of him. It looked like a penalty to me, that one. The handball, his arm was sort of 90 degrees to his body, and it, not only did it hit his hand, but they regained possession as a result of it. So it did look like a penalty to me, but whatever.
I think what saved him for the penalty was that his arm was up, but it would obviously use it for balance. But Clark Harris literally kicked the ball. Clark Harris aimed the ball at him, and it was quite a short distance. I think that's what saved him. Although I think that's given probably 7 or 8 times out of 10. But I think that's what probably saved him. Right, referee for Saturday is Darren Drysdale. I like Darren Drysdale. And the reason, I like him generally. And also, if you look at his record of refereeing us, you should all like him. We've won 9 out of the last 10 games that he's refereed us.
What was the loss?
Charlton away.
I would have to check.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you had him to hand. Never mind. I just wanted to see if I remember the game.
I'll do it. But if anybody does not remember, he's the referee that headbutted the Ipswich player once. It was little Alan Judge who headbutted. It was funny.
It was funny.
He's a sergeant in the Royal Air Force as well, if anybody's interested in that.
No nonsense kind of guy, isn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
very nice, very nice.
Yeah, he's no nonsense kind of guy. He's just something I generally has taken a look at. The game we lost was a 5-2 loss to Ipswich in 2015.
No, I don't remember it. Never mind.
So that's what to expect from him. Right, let's do predictions because that's time of the show. I haven't had a chance to update the table, but there were points picked up for Joy, Kev, Danny, and Mick last week. Kev was so close to getting his prediction right. By the way, he was absolutely robbed of his prediction. But there's point. I'll add those points to the table. That means you've reopened the gap to 2 points at the top of the table to Tom.
Yeah, can we not show it, please?
No, I done it, so you don't have to say it. Kev says 3-0 again. Joy has gone 2-0. Ben has also gone 2-0, and Danny has gone for the draw 1-1. Tom, what are you going to go?
Oh no! I was going to say whatever Mick said.
In your face, boy.
I know. In my head, you go, "Oh no." I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win for us.
Okay.
Although everything tells me it's not going to be. But
Fair enough. Mick, what do you reckon?
Isn't it?
I think it's going to be a low scorer, but I'm debating whether I feel that we might keep a clean sheet again.
I know.
I'm going to go 2-0 Rotherham. I don't know where that's.
Oh no! Oh God. We've gone for the same result, Mick. That's such a wimp out.
So let me get this right, just so that you can get closer to me in the league table. And the fact that I think we might win, I've got to say that we won't win, just to keep you happy.
Just play the game. Just play game's the game.
Let me think. No.
Okay. Well, you think it's going to be low scoring, but we're going to score 2?
It's
still a low score. You know, if you say 1-1.
Not a high scoring game, is it? 2-0.
Okay, just asking.
What do you think it's going to be, Matt?
I think it's going to be 0-0. I think it's going to be a poor game. I think it'll be 2 solid teams cancelling each other out, basically.
Yeah, might be 1-1. Might be 1-1.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting game. I don't think it's going to be high quality, but I think it'll be 2 teams, playing well. Hopefully, Nick says 1-1. Darren Cook says 2-0. IUCFK says 0-0. Chris Taylor says 2-1, and Chris Wright says 2-0, as does Richard. Steve says 1-1. Harry says 2-1. Mystic John Paranormal says 1-1. Mike the Miller's with me and goes 0-0. Scott Kent says 2-1 to the Millers, if we play the same side we did last week.
Yeah, that's also a good point.
Yeah,
I think that's important. But we will see what happens. I've got nothing else on my list to talk about today. Have we got anything else we've seemed to have finished early, which can happen with these preview shows? Is there anything we need to mention, talk about?
Well, yeah, no, not really.
Still the opportunity to donate to the Milliman 25. That is still open. If you donate, you will get on a list for some a copy of the record once it's produced. So there might be some other stuff coming up to in the near future as well with that. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, let's see if we can get that up to the target. I think it was 10 grand with it they were after. Or 20, can't remember now.
20. They're over 15 now.
Right, so we're aiming to get to 20 grand. So anything you can do, if you've already contributed, if you can get your friends and family to do it, because it's a fantastic cause, a really, really good cause.
Yeah, absolutely is. Get on that. We'll put the QR code at the top right screen. So if you're watching on somewhere, you can scan that QR code. It'll be available for you to watch, for you to scan.
If you're watching it on somewhere,
well, yeah,
right, fair enough.
Not everyone's going to be watching. There'll be listeners.
Yeah,
so
if you're watching on your phone, scan it with your phone. Oh wait.
Well, yeah.
For the audio listeners, there's a QR code on the screen. Is essentially
exactly. So. Yeah. I have no QR code for the audio listeners. Apologies.
Put it in the comments.
You are?
Put the link in the comments.
I could put the link. I'll put the link in the show notes. I'll do that.
Yeah. See?
There you go.
Be the solution, not the problem.
The scan report will be out tomorrow. That's from Louis from Charlton Live. He's going to talk about Charlton and how things they just flag up. They did play midweek and did play a full strength side in the FA Cup on Tuesday. So that was a trip up north to Preston for them. So a reasonable trek. So watch out for them being tired. Hopefully, then it looks like a masterstroke. If we have more energy on Saturday, it's a masterstroke. Everyone's making so many changes in it. But
that's why they did it, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but then Charlton could have done the same, couldn't they? But they didn't.
Well, they want to get through in FA Cup, don't they?
Yeah, but they lost.
Proper competition. Yeah, but I know that.
Yeah, but would you have been happy if we played that? If we played that team against Preston, would you have been happy?
No, probably not.
Exactly.
But this is Mick who says he doesn't want any cup runs ever.
Yeah.
I want to get to final, obviously. If we could just have a bite at final, I'll be happy with that. That'll do me. That's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've mentioned the transfer window episode, so I think we're done for now. The scout report, scout report's Friday. Instant reaction should be out Saturday evening as well from the post match for that one. And then we're back Sunday evening for the standard review show of the Charlton game, where who knows, we might even be at top half. Can we go into top half? I think we can, can't we?
If we win, we go above the. Yeah.
If we win, we probably won't go just because of goal difference, or we could, depending on how many we win by.
I thought we're 2 behind, aren't we?
3 behind, down 34.
Oh, right. I thought we were on 32.
No, we're at 31. Lincoln 32. If Lincoln don't win and we win, well, if Lincoln lose and we draw, we'll go top half. Depending on what happens below us as well.
Look at us. Hoping for top half.
Baby steps.
Hey, baby steps. After the last 2 years, I'll take anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But last time we went 5 games unbeaten. It must be years.
Oh, stop it. This is getting on, superstition territory.
We're already 5 games unbeaten.
No, I know, but as soon as you say it, it's in the air now. It's a jinx.
Fair enough. Okay.
He's got a point. He's got a point.
He has got a point. Yeah, got a point.
Is what you're doing.
Yeah, you are. You're enticing them.
Apologies.
Enticing Lady Fate.
If you are watching, make sure you have subscribed over on YouTube. The numbers keep shooting up on there, so make sure you have subscribed. Because if you subscribe and you get notifications, you'll get everything like the scan report and instant reaction, which will only be available on YouTube. If you want to go back and watch the Millmore stuff from last week, that's still up there for a quick 5-minute walk around Millmore with me and Mick. If you're watching on X, which I can see a couple hundred of you are, make sure you follow us on X and also go over to YouTube and subscribe as well, because that helps us out. If you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, make sure you have followed, subscribed, whatever it allows you to do so, and a 5-star rating. Again, wherever it allows you to do so. We shall be back next time. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Tom. It's been fun as always. We'll see you all next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Over the Millers.
I think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good Evans, he's done it again. Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favor, drop me off in